This will be as simple as I can put it to you, in words spoken to you by me, not the most ultimate of warriors, but close enough, because now you will embark on a journey that is solely unique to an individual named Who This, as he embarks on another episode, ripping through the tides of time and space, called The Journey That Is Who This Been Watching. By the way, it's me. I'm just kidding, of course. I'm not going to go Captain Insano. I'm not going to go Ultimate Warrior with the vibes, the energy, or let alone the look, because, of course, look at the fucking ears. But it is, of course, time for, again, Who This Been Watching. Starring me, of course, Who This, brought to you by me, again, Who This. Live here, as I usually do on Fridays at 10 p.m., at Who This Is One. This is the fucking channel. This is the platform I use to bring you a live first, as I do it again, obviously live here on Instagram, the uncut, uncensored, and most importantly, uncircumcised version of Who This Been Watching. Here on Instagram first, and then of course about a week later, so a few days far removed, give or take, it'll be up on YouTube at youtube.com/Who This Is One, as well as the audio version. We take the fucking sound, whoop, yoink it from the video that accompanied it, and throw it to all the podcasting platforms out there. It's fucking Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Podcast, anywhere you get your podcast from, or where you may think you're able to get a podcast from, boom, I'm right there too as well, with Who This Been Watching. Thanks for joining me tonight. Whether you chime in here in the comment section below on the live, or you do so later on the YouTube version, or whatever else you choose to do as far as interacting with me here on the show, given the, afford the platform to do so, I thank you in advance, because tonight was a very special edition. Well, we're not done with it yet. We're just getting it done live right now as we speak. But right now, a very special Sunday edition. I think first time ever I've done it on the Sunday. I might be wrong, but at least first time live at night, Sunday night special edition of Who This Been Watching, for the sake and purposes of, okay, I came clean with it a while ago. I made it clear, and I'm a man of my word. As far as I keep true to what I say and put out there in the universe, excuse me, regarding the fact that I am done with wrestling as far as watching live along with Raw and SmackDown and all that other shit. I don't care for it. It doesn't entice me. It doesn't, motivate me anymore to keep watching or keep track with the modern day product. But because of the pleasant surprise, the very pleasant surprise week after week that this A&E Biography series has been, as far as the icons of the WWE, 6 episodes done so far of a total to be the whole series in itself, I couldn't help but watch, because again, even though I don't fuck with the modern day product, and I'm not going to waste my time no more with Raw, SmackDown, and please don't recommend anything else as far as whatever else is out there. I don't care for it. It doesn't fucking matter to me no more. But as far as docs, biographies, all that kind of shit, I gladly watch. That's why I do have the Peacock, pause, just for the fact that there is stuff on NBC Universal I watch besides wrestling, but then, the RVD thing they came out with recently was great. Before the network switched over to the Peacock, that Yokozuna, whatever mini 30-minute doc they did too was great as well. It was just, insightful, something new about Yokozuna, which is really who is never spoken of like that in full detail. Shout out to official Bad News Vaughn, of course, as always, for joining the live. Much appreciated, bro. And him always doing his thing. Don't forget to follow his ass on Twitch, twitch.tv/Villain of Vaughn. If I didn't get that wrong, and or also you can listen to his podcast, 810 versus the World, doing his thing there and spilling the beans on, I guess, eating ass and all that shit. No, bro, I told you. You can see it in the fucking pinned comment, brother. It's the A&E documentary shit, not the fucking Dark Side of the Ring. We're not doing that yet at all. So we'll talk about that at a later time. But as I was saying, I enjoy docs, I enjoy biographies, and yes, anyone out there chiming in right now or watching that ain't a fan of wrestling, or you have a thing against wrestling, which, free country, do what you want to do with it too. listen, go fuck yourself first off. I know that better than anybody. It's not real, obviously. Just like this fucking thing on my head isn't real. Of course, it's just a gimmick. It's a character. It's me playing up to what I like having fun with as far as talking shit and bringing it to you live here on Instagram again, or as I mentioned, a couple of days later or up to a week later on YouTube at youtube.com/whothisis1 and or the audio version on any podcasting platform of your preference. Duh! It's me playing a fucking character. It's me as far as me doing this shit. So I know it's fake, but I do love, I do love getting the inside deets, as the kids say today, the details as far as the inner workings of the man behind the character, and the man or the woman behind the characters they play on the TV, in the ring, doing their shit there. What the fuck was that? Sorry, some outside interference. It sounded like someone was going to run into the ring right now and just fucking intervene per se. But outside interferences aside, I don't know what the fuck that was. I'm sorry about that. If that picked up on the mic. It's always fun to get the inner workings of character. It's kind of like when you get the inner workings of, an actor you admire, a performer, a comedian, etc., etc. When you get to see what they had to go through to get to where they are today. Anybody who's heralded. Like, we had no idea what Robin Williams, rest in peace, had gone through before, he passed. We thought, funny guy, funny his whole life, funny whenever he's in front of a camera pretty much. Like, how could he be depressed? And then this whole time he was nothing but depressed, nothing short of depressed. And as far as why exactly, who knows? We can't explain it unless we get a documentary really like diving deep into that. That's why I love, if anything, of all genres, of all things, like even with books. I really don't read like that. Obviously, I'm a dummy, so I know how to read, and I read really well, literally, as far as reading itself is concerned. But if you ask me to read anything for the sake of reading, I won't do it. That's why I only ever took the magazines, but magazines is like old fucking world technology at this point. It's like, who the fuck does that? Or I would always go to biographies, preferably autobiographies, because it's the real person, the subject matter themselves, him, her, them, whatever, telling their own story, so that there's no outside interference. There's no like a writer giving their input to make it more sexy, more appealing, leaving stuff out, forcing stuff in that wasn't really there like that, or literally making it look more than what it was per se. So I always appreciate that kind of stuff. But even biographies too, like just reading up on the character and the man, the woman behind the character themselves too. So, we got all the Austins. Did we get an Austin biography? I don't remember. But I know we definitely got a Rock one, and also a couple of Mick Foley ones as well too. So those I herald like gems, because again, I love wrestling from like a child for most of my life too and such. So yeah, that's the deal with that. So this A&E series, bio, documentaries, whatever you want to call them too, the most pleasant surprise of each episode so far is that they all been 2 hours, which you would think initially might be too long to tell the stories of these guys, which, we've heard Austin's story so much before too, Stone Cold, I mean. I don't remember if there's been an earlier thing for HBK, Shawn Michaels, but this was a really good episode from last week that played, I think, during WrestleMania Backlash, whatever that shit was. I didn't watch it, so fuck it. Yeah, it's been really a pleasant surprise so far, and a shock that as far as the choices they made, but we'll get into that later on tonight. But the main subject tonight, the fucking centerpiece right now, who we got the spotlight shined on tonight for this episode, I felt really had to be discussed and this is going to be a wrestling heavy fucking episode, obviously. And as I said before, and I make clear again, I'm not into wrestling like that no more. But the docs, the biographies, whatever that kind of shit comes out, count me in as far as learning more on the insides, because I want to learn more about the inner workings of the person who crafted, created, developed, evolved with that character they brought to life in the wrestler they portrayed in the ring, in the fucking business, etc., as you can understand too. Because Ultimate Warrior, as we're going to discuss further in detail tonight, is really the epitome, I say. I wouldn't say maybe the best, but I wouldn't be so crazy to at least suggest he might have been one of the best, if not, again, the best character of that time in which he existed, from what was it, like late 80s, very late 80s to like early 90s, when he was practically number two only to Hulk Hogan, who had made wrestling to begin with the most popular thing at the time, or one of the most popular things. He made wrestling mainstream and fucking super pop culture and everything too. Ultimate Warrior, in the short amount of time he spent as a wrestler, they cleared it up here, 5 years only in the business, compared to guys that had been there like 30, 20, whatever fucking amount of years before him too, and couldn't get anywhere near as fucking famous or as popular as he was. It's shocking to think in that short amount of time he was practically a megastar in the world of wrestling, which would have easily translated over to, you know, mainstream like Hogan did, Macho Man did, Flair, etc., whoever else you may think of did as well too. It was only logical that he be the next guy up behind Hogan because he had the build. Well, actually the incredible build. I mean, Hogan, what he had to his advantage, let's be honest, is the size, being what, 6'6" ish, 7 whatever too, and weighing about 300 pounds too. He was big and bulky and strong. He was the epitome of a fucking man that would carry that name, Hulk Hogan. But Warrior, on the other hand, was by no means, I'd say, a short guy, 6'2". I mean, now that I'm bald, I've demoted myself from 6 feet to 5'11" because I got no hair, obviously. That played a big factor in my whole persona. But Warrior was what, 6'2", 280 pounds of fucking pure solid muscle, which was no days off at the gym. I forget from where else I saw that or might have read that, but he was like super duper strict with the diet, which is super impossible for me to do practically. But the level that he did it, well, you know, that takes dedication and fucking time and, you know, effort, obviously, to keep to that strict ass diet. And also, again, gym day and night practically every single day, no days off again too. So for his build, his energy, the fucking promos, what he brought as far as a character, and how he made that character his own because of what he had gone through in his whole life leading up to that point, it was like the perfect formula. It was like Vince McMahon's Frankenstein of sorts, of his embodiment, his vision of a wrestler, and who he wanted him to be, how he wanted him to look and act, and how he wanted to make him the superstar in this case, because he was really brought up, as they made a point in reference to a lot of times during the episode, he was strictly crafted to be the one to follow Hogan and take the popularity, the title, etc. off of Hogan into this guy they literally created. Even though, of course, you know, as I was surprised to see with the Dingo Warrior, which he was before he was the Ultimate Warrior, he already existed as a warrior of sorts, the Dingo Warrior, which was a stupid name, but, you know, as Warrior himself said in the fucking episode, someone got drunk and just threw it out there because, you know, he thought the Dingo name was funny. Someone had like a dog. For some reason, the guy thought a dingo, as far as dogs are concerned, instead of like, you know, the Labrador Warrior or like the Golden Retriever Warrior, which would have been hilarious and stupid. But then again, dingo, you know, you could have played out the fact he was from Australia, but then oddly enough, the Dingo Warrior, surprising to me, fun fact, but also head scratching as well too, but also pleasant, because the Dingo Warrior was built from, of all places, guess from where? I'll give you a second. Your second's up. Okay. Queens, New York, the Dingo Warrior. There's no immediate association of a dingo existing in Queens. I mean, we got a zoo here at the fucking, what do you call it? Flushing Meadows Park. But they never had a dingo there for as long as I known. And they still don't have one. Why would they have one? Because who cares about dingoes like that? No offense to the Australians or like dingo enthusiasts like that too. But dingoes don't go hand in hand as far as associating them immediately with Queens, New York. I mean, you could think of Queensland, Australia, perhaps, but maybe that's what they meant. Or the same drunk guy that said, oh, a Dingo Warrior, that works. Might have said Queensland, Australia, because he was like low-key geography buff. But someone just heard Queens and thought, we got guys from Queens, New York. I forget who was the other wrestler from back when that was from Queens, New York. But it was somebody like not so big. So somebody might have heard Queens and thought, Queens, New York? Okay, fuck it. This guy's got to go out to the ring and do his match. Okay, Dingo Warrior from Queens, New York, 262 pounds. And that's it, pretty much. So that was a fun fact. But of course, Vince McMahon did practically create the Ultimate Warrior by taking what was the basic elements and building blocks of the Dingo Warrior and just redubbed them Ultimate Warrior. Sure, we could have left it at that. But also, if you think about it, if he really wanted to, he could have just said, Vince McMahon, I mean, he could have said, fuck Dingo Warrior, fuck this Warrior aspect shit. We might as well dress him up like one of the village people in a construction hat. And he's just like an overly jacked constructor, what do you call those guys? Fireman or like a policeman or something like that too. Have him go out there. Oh, it didn't work? Okay, fuck him. We'll just scrap him. Hogan's a champion anyway, so no love lost there either. But he decided to capitalize already on what was kind of established there with Dingo Warrior, made it sexier with Ultimate Warrior, which made a lot more sense. And unfortunately, he had to drop the fact that he was from Queens, supposedly, and made him from parts unknown, which, makes more sense for like an Ultimate Warrior. You kind of think of him like someone from Dragon Ball Z, or someone like Vegeta, pretty much. There's no real specific location for where they're from, but it just sounds more mysterious and alluding and more perfectly attached to that character if they're from parts unknown, as was, I think, Mankind also when he started out. So they did that with Ultimate Warrior. But overall, the episode was really fun to watch, really insightful, really well told. I think up until now, there's going to be a total of 8. This is the 6th one to date so far. I feel this one might have been the best balanced as far as they included the dirt as far as what he did according to whoever got to speak, because of course he ain't here no more to speak on his behalf, the Ultimate Warrior. But they did also do a good job of presenting him in a good enough light where it wasn't a fluff piece, it wasn't kissing his ass, it wasn't trying to make up for him being dead or remembered as fondly as he was up until now, literally. So there was that balance. They brought out the good and the bad. There is some bad in this episode. It was very light in comparison to, let's say, the Macho Man episode, which was polarizing because a lot of fans took it as something to tarnish the memory of Macho. And also, I didn't like the fact, and thank God enough people voiced that same feeling, as far as I think Peter Rosenberg on his podcast, Cheap Heat. And also, who else said it? Eric Bischoff, after the episode aired, they both voiced their displeasure with the fact that Bubba the Love Sponge, of all fucking idiots, was involved with that episode. But, you can watch that shit. You can read about why they were upset with that later on, too. But, yeah, same here, same sentiment. He made no fucking sense to have as a part of that episode. So that brought it down a couple of notches as far as being a great episode. It was still very well told. It was very eye-opening as far as Macho Man's concerned and his whole life and career and such. Rest in peace, Macho Man, of course. But yeah, that wasn't in good taste to have him involved, because he wasn't in the best interest for the Macho, even when he was alive, and probably not even now when he's passed. Excuse me. Brief little water break. Had to do that. Hydrate. So yeah, let's go into details as far as what the fucking notes were that I made for this episode. And also, yes, there is the fact that if you've been keeping up to date with this shit, as far as this very excellent to date A&E series / biography, documentary, whatever you want to call it, is concerned, there is 2 episodes left. I think next Sunday is going to be Mick Foley, and then the week after the last one should probably be Bret Hart, if I'm not mistaken. But there is later this week, we're recording this live on a Sunday night after the Ultimate Warrior episode air. Excuse me. There is later on this week, Thursday, Dark Side of the Ring on Vice, which I'm really interested in seeing what they do with the Ultimate Warrior story, because funny enough, they're kind of lapping over each other. I'm really looking forward to see what they do, because the good thing about Dark Side of the Ring is that they're bringing up interesting enough stories that wouldn't normally be told by WWE or anybody else for that matter, but also WWE ain't the ones overseeing the episode itself. So that's why we got the Benoit tragedy part 1 and 2 to open up season 2. That's why we got the Owen Hart story, which were both very well told, excellently told, both of them. And it's going to be good to see what they have to say about Ultimate Warrior, because at least from the teaser trailer they put out so far, the little snippets that have been playing on fucking Twitter and such, it's like Jake the Snake Roberts, it's I forget who else too, but there's one other person like shitting on Warrior. So it'll be good to see what they have to say and what they have to chime in with, because there was none of that in this episode. So that's surprising too as well, because if you remember at all, keeping track as far as the Ultimate Warrior is concerned, there was that 2005 documentary which I watched and I didn't like at all, the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, which was really, if you want to fucking point out something that was really purposely made to make someone look bad, like a piece of shit, like a villain, like an asshole, you got proof right there with that self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, because that was purposely made out of pettiness. And funny enough, right after his scandal with his speech he made at the University of Connecticut, as far as being anti-queer, and or as they used to dub it back then, don't quote me saying it, I'm just redubbing it as what they put it as back when, homo bashing. So that's what he did. He came off as such. He regretted it afterwards, according to his wife, and I'm sure he did too, because he was just caught up in the moment and like the emotion of being like, oh, am I my character still? Or am I really showing my real feelings about, very early signs of MAGA, like, again, anti-queer, and or, talking shit about Iraq, saying their lives ain't worth shit compared to anybody simply born and raised in the USA. Of course, those were his sentiments. And free country, of course, this is 2005. This is like before shit really went up there and got up and stuck in a cloud for like the whole internet to view and speculate about. But it kind of rings so kind of close to home to like the Michael Richards scandal, when he said the N-word while he was bombing so badly doing stand-up, and people were demanding he be Kramer, and then he just went off on the one black guy repeatedly calling him the N-word and such. It kind of harkened to that vibe. And Michael Richards is, thank God he's still alive, but he hasn't been able to recoup obviously since then, because obviously he hasn't been working since then or done anything else since then. He did have to apologize. He did so. Jerry Seinfeld came out with him to kind of help him come out the fucking hole he dug himself into to apologize. And it was so odd when he did that, Michael Richards, because, or Kramer from Seinfeld, Betty had said, because I remember it was either Jay Leno or it might have been the studio audience that was watching him as he was apologizing that still saw him so much as Kramer only, that they were laughing throughout the whole apology, thinking, oh, it's Kramer apologizing. He's probably apologizing about keeping the fridge door open in Jerry's apartment or something like that. Ha 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 ha, chuckle, chuckle. Even to the point where Jerry was like upset. He was like, come on, guys, stop laughing. He's actually trying to say he's sorry about something he did and he messed up by doing, It's weird, because maybe we can touch on that briefly too, because I love Seinfeld. I'm a Seinfeld groupie. I still watch to this day, fucking if it's a rerun on TBS, or I have Hulu, so I got all the episodes if I really feel like throwing one on and just watching if I'm bored like that. It's so crazy to think that Michael Richards was so perfectly casted and or born to be Kramer, that I'm sure he still is frustrated that he never got to do anything outside of fucking Kramer. He has done some shit before it. He was in that movie, oh God, what was it? Airheads, I think. The one with Brendan Fraser, Adam Sandler, and I think Chris Farley. He might have played a cop or something like that. I'm trying to remember. Steve Buscemi, I think. They were the three buddies in that shit, and Michael Richards, Kramer, was the guy trying to break into the radio station. I forget the premise of the story of that movie, but it was pretty good. It was actually pretty funny. But it wasn't until Seinfeld that he hit big, and he was from that point onwards forever known as Kramer. I mean, it's crazy to think that, Jason Alexander has been George forever, ever since then. Elaine has been able to break away and be, the lead character in Veep and do some other things too as well. To kind of distance herself from Elaine from Seinfeld, but Kramer was never able to do that just because he was kind of too perfect as Kramer. So even when they gave him that sitcom right after Seinfeld ended, I believe it was the Michael Richards show, I don't even think it made it through the full season, the one season they gave it before they just fucking axed it. So obviously he was frustrated about that. And I think it wasn't until a while after that passed is when he's tried to start doing the stand-up comedy thing. And I'm sure having Jerry Seinfeld on speed dial or in your contact list kind of reassures you in the fact that, oh, if it gets really bad, I could probably just call him up and maybe get a gig or something, or maybe open up for him as a, stand up on the road or whatever too. But because he failed so bad, I guess the desperation built up to the point where he fucking just went off on the black guy who was heckling him, but he went off on the black guy because I guess he just had enough at that point that he couldn't escape his character. And maybe subconsciously, during his stand-up, he was doing Kramer-esque kind of fucking habits of things, or saying things that Kramer would say just as a stand-up comedian potentially too. It's crazy to think that, if you get perfectly casted to play who you're fucking told to play, as I'm sure was the case with Warrior as well, to break away from that character or have people see you as anything else but that character must be frustrating, because you can never run away from it. As I said right now, Michael Richards is Kramer. Ultimate Warrior could never run away from being Ultimate Warrior, which is crazy because he did actually try to take that character, and he actually did try to do the opposite. Because then when he got fired the second time, I think they said, well, no, before that, when he got fired the first time, he legally changed his name to Warrior. So it was a matter of Vince McMahon couldn't use his fucking likeness or character and make money off of him without him getting any of the funds sent to him. No, he fucking legally changed his name to Warrior so that he would own literally the name of Warrior and have it be his own fucking thing, which is commendable, kind of crazy, but I get it too. As far as the fear of, I made the character who he is. There's no one else that can ever be the Ultimate Warrior but me, literally, because that is me. I built and grew up to be an Ultimate Warrior myself because I had to live that life to be that Ultimate Warrior. So who the fuck is going to come along ever in their life and try to pretend to be me? Or going to try to be a better me than me myself? So that's a lot of fucking... I really wish there would have been like a sit-down like therapy session at some point too, to try to tap into the mind of the Warrior. We do get a lot of insightful shit because of this episode as far as his upbringing. Apparently his dad left him when he was like 10, 11-ish, whatever. And ever since then it kind of scarred him or left him really kind of bothered, I guess, with a lot of unsolved shit. I'm sure there was a lot of self-blame as far as like, well, he did have like 3 other brothers, I think I understood correctly. And his mother had to work a lot to fucking make ends meet for like 4 boys growing up, all in one household. So I'm sure there was a lot of fucking self-finger pointing as far as, oh, maybe he left because of me. But then he had to turn that energy into, well, I'll show them, as far as a whole small town he grew up in Indiana. And his father leaving him and watching his mother bust her ass so much to fucking feed him and 3 other fucking growing boys as well to make it to where he made it. But that'd be a really fucking interesting character study. I wish there was something that would have existed. Probably not, but it would have been really interesting to get like the full details as to how the Ultimate Warrior, I guess, persona lived deep inside him the whole time, as per his behavior, his attitude, everything he did, his whole misdemeanor. I forgot what I was trying to say. I'm sorry about that, but you know what I'm fucking trying to say. Triforce Studios, thank you for joining the live as well. I appreciate you. So yeah, he grew up in high school. He was apparently the smallest of his whole fucking football team, so he was determined to be the biggest guy, because as his coach was saying, he was like 5'10" and like 120, 30 something pounds out of like 6 foot plus guys, 200 plus pound guys and shit compared to him. So that would motivate you to fucking bust your ass to be bigger and stronger like he did, and as literally as we saw him become and develop to be. It's crazy. And then he grew into being a bodybuilder fresh out of high school, which, holy shit, he looked like a mini Hulk because his shoulders, his delts were so fucking overly developed. I would have loved to known his fucking secret as far as his diet, his fucking workout routine, whatever he was doing to fucking get that jacked, aka steroids, which I know he denounced and said he didn't do, but he was failing tests repeatedly for, you know, the fact that he worked for the company he worked for, and at the time he was already at the top or potentially ready to be bigger than what he was. The whole steroid scandal came up too. So guys like him, Hogan, you know, larger than life, literally sized guys were kind of fucking pushed aside and said, you know, we got to bring in natural looking guys, you know, like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, to fucking come and make up for the fact that, yes, we pushed this image of these big fucking guys for so long, but playing dumb like, oh, we don't know nothing about this, how you say it, steroids? No, there's no such thing in this business. No, I mean, look at who we got as champion. Fucking Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. They're fucking barely big enough to be cops or firemen too. So of course they're our champion. They're real guys and shit. You gotta be able to appreciate them for the size they were. But yeah, let's see, went through that. All right, so as I was saying before, yes, rebranding him from Dingo Warrior to Ultimate Warrior was pretty fucking genius on Vince McMahon's part, because again, he could have easily made him into somebody else entirely. He could have said, just fuck this Warrior shit. Let's go a whole fucking other route with him. He's got the size, he's got the look anyway, he'll work. And then if it didn't work, toss him aside, you know, good riddance, your contract's up in a little bit too, so do what you gotta do afterwards, you know, kiss my ass on the way out too. Boom. But we gotta admit, of the characters from that time too, you know, I love Macho Man. He's probably my top 3 of all time, to be honest. Hulk Hogan too was like, again, the fucking face that made the whole business mainstream as big as it was, because come on, he did fucking Rocky 3, Thunder Lips Baby. Who doesn't remember that shit? You know, Mr. T, fucking Zeus, rest in peace. I forget his real name, but Zeus. He did his thing with him too. Warrior was fucking perfectly. Warrior is the fucking embodiment of a wrestling character done 100% right, because he had the look, he had the size, he had, again, the energy, persona, electricity flowing out of him literally to be the end-all be-all of fucking non-existent characters. That how the fuck could you hate him? How the fuck could you not be a fan? If you were tired of Hulk Hogan being on top of the world, you know, lecturing you with the vitamins, the prayers, the this, that, the other, you know, kiss your mother on both cheeks before you leave the house and some other bullshit too, you had the Ultimate Warrior, which jacked as fuck, long flowing hair, face paint, looks like a warrior with the face paint, with the build and shit too, tassels on his fucking arms to make his arms look even bigger than what they fucking were. Screaming like a maniac, but it all somehow makes sense, or it's just so cool that he can run around in his underwear with armbands cutting off circulation to his fucking rest of his arms too, shrieking like a maniac, talking about how the gods, the universe, the cosmos all came together to make one big bang, and the end all be all of that big bang was the birth of the Ultimate Warrior, the real life superhero that just so happens to wrestle other men who might be bigger, might be stronger, but they just can't beat his ass because he's the fucking epitome of a fucking man, of an ultimate warrior, literally. So I want to say, of all the characters made up and presented to us throughout time, throughout the history of wrestling, I gotta put Ultimate Warrior up there as like #1 as far as like the wrestling character, the whole reason wrestling was so popular back when. Yes, Hulk Hogan was the face. Yes, Macho Man fucking won people over with the fucking move sets and just the charisma and the promos and everything too. But as far as like, let's say bringing an action figure to life and making him fucking mobile and being able to do what you want as far as a puppet's concerned, Warrior was exactly that. So you gotta give fucking kudos to Ultimate Warrior for being the embodiment of what a wrestling character persona should have been from the whole time. So yeah, there's that. Alright, so we did that. Something that bothered me a lot about this episode, like I mentioned earlier, as far as the Macho Man episode with Bubba the Love Sponge of all people, useless fucks that got tapped to be a part of that episode, was Vince Russo. I made it clear to friends, that share in the habit, or in this case now, I admit my bad habit of watching wrestling too much, that I do not like Vince Russo. I can't stand him when he fucking talks. He is the embodiment of a fucking slow adult New Yorker, because he talks all this shit like he reinvented the wrestling wheel, which he really fucking didn't. He made it tacky. He made it tasteless during the Attitude Era, which, again, we all fucking herald as this great, wonderful, rainbow, sparkly colored time in wrestling, which, yeah, made it even more popular than fucking Hulk Hogan did when he was on top of the world too. I get it, but it was really just imitating Jerry Springer. And as he admitted himself so many times, Vince Russo, literally it's, oh, I saw this shit earlier in the day on Jerry Springer. I just reworded it and reworked it into fucking later that night for Monday Night Raw to see what we can do close enough or similar enough to that to make it work. Basically. I love the Attitude Era too as much as everybody else does, and herald it and miss it like everybody else does too as well. But motherfuckers out there are so crazy enough to give Vince Russo that much credit. You need to get your fucking head checked. All right? Besides the fact that this idiot who's from Yonkers of all places, no disrespect to Yonkers, and of course rest in peace DMX, but no one out there in Yonkers in their right mind sounds like this fucking idiot. Bro, when I was there, bro, backstage working the scripts with Vince McMahon, Vince McMahon practically wanted to buy me a jet and fly me out from the West Coast to the East Coast because my brain was that big and just spilling all over the place, bro, with all the genius ideas I had flowing out of my head, flowing out of my ass, bro. It was great times, if wrestling ain't popular like it was when I was writing it, and I was drafting Monday Night Raw, and I suggested SmackDown, and I created NXT without even saying a word about NXT 2. That's the only reason, bro, it's not as popular as it is right now, bro, as it should have been right now, bro. If I was still writing for it, bro, it'd be the number one thing on TV, bro. Shout outs to Mad. I fuck your name up every time. Mad. CXAT for joining as well, and also, of course, funny enough, a wrestler. He just had a match last night for GSW, Global Syndicate Wrestling, Super Nitro, or excuse you, meaning looking back at me, you fuck, the real _ Super Nitro. Shout outs to you, brother, and thank you for joining as always. So yeah, Vince Russo being a part of this episode tonight was fucking stupid. It really could have been saved. No, not even saved. Deleted from the hard drive of whoever fucking put this thing together, edited it, or just fucking trash can dropped along the fucking editing room floor. Fuck Vince Russo. I'm tired of his stupid ass, just like I'm tired of fucking dumbass Gay D/JD from New York, and I'm tired of fucking Mark Cronin, who are nothing but fucking, listen, this is why I got out of wrestling too, because the fans are way too fucking toxic, as I'm sure Super Nitro can fucking tell you himself. Shout outs also to his legit brother in real life, JT Riddick. They can fucking tell you like I can tell you as well too. This is why I got out of wrestling altogether. I was never a wrestler, I mean just as a fan. The wrestling fans are so toxic. Most of the times, some of the times. And unfortunately, these two fucking idiots, JD and Cronin, are the fucking culture vultures that don't give a shit about wrestling. But funny enough, they're the first in line to make notes and whole fucking careers off of purposely hating everything that gets done on Raw and or SmackDown. They're the first ones to fucking run home crying as soon as they do their fucking live shits right after the show and business they hate so much that, oh, according to them both, if we got the chance to rewrite it, it'd be fucking the number one thing on TV. They're fucking mini Junior Russos. That's all they fucking are. In their fucking head, they think they can recreate the whole shit from scratch and make it be, mainstream shattering or fucking pop culture like it was. No. You fucking disgruntled little cucks that couldn't make it as wrestlers yourselves. You fucking swear up and down you'd be amazing at the commentary table. Meanwhile, you're fucking, okay, great. You've made careers for yourself. You built these whole fucking, again, careers out of fucking hating, purposely being toxic and vultures of the culture. And look where you are now. Great, good for you. I do applaud you guys for that, especially Gay D, which I'll fucking stress forever. Gay D is who he is. Fuck him. He ain't good for shit. He's a pussy matter of fact, that backtracked on what he was saying about Alexa Bliss for the longest time, who, by the way, idiot, she's great. Not because she's great looking. That helps. That's like the cream rising to the top. Shout out to the Macho Man. Or the fucking icing on the cake. That just happens to help so much that she's pretty as a fucking button and cute as whatever. But she's also great on this thing called the microphone, which matters a lot in selling a person's character and making them entertaining enough to bring in, yes, mostly men to watch her again, but also enough women to fucking be like, you know what? I wish I could be like Alexa Bliss. I was a cheerleader. I was a fucking tumbler in the past too. I could be like her too. Oh, she's tiny, blonde, pretty. Hey, I happen to be the same thing too. I could probably be one of those one day too. And guess what? Over time, there is such a thing as getting better at what you're doing for a fucking living, like she's been doing. 6 NXT up until now, even with all the reign she's had. Alexa Bliss has gotten better with time. I'm not going to say she's the greatest of all time. I'm not going to say she's the greatest out there right now. But for the fact that she's still even doing that stupid character with the fucking fiend or whatever she's been doing up until now with the black cum dripping out of her fucking head, you got to give her credit. Up until now, she's been able to carry herself way better than most of the fucking guys on the roster who can fucking tumble and dive and spill outside the ring and do these phenomenal things like the fucking Cirque du Soleil in a wrestling ring, but can't fucking say shit that matters at all on the microphone. Or God forbid you hear them talk and you fucking turn the channel. I'm sorry, that's Ricochet. Ricochet's phenomenal. Ricochet's skills alone in the fucking ring should be multiple time over fucking champion. The boy can't speak. And whatever they've been doing with him or letting him do till now ain't fucking working. It's only ruining him even more. Because they have no character for him. He has nothing for himself to fucking provide to save his ass from clearly where he's drowning in quickly, which is quicksand. And also, there's no one to guide him as far as giving him a feud that'll make him an appealing babyface, or giving him something to do in a stable, which would have been perfect for him, the Hurt Business, which he would have been fine in because MVP talking for him and Ricochet otherwise letting his fucking in-ring skills doing the talking for him would have been fucking fine for this kid. He's wrestling in jeans now. They can't fucking decide what to do with this kid. One day he's fucking in trunks, one day he's in long pants looking like AJ Styles, and now he's in fucking jeans according to fucking Bad News Vaughn. So what the fuck are they gonna do now with this kid Ricochet? I mean, he's a waste of fucking talent. He is the epitome now of wasted fucking talent on this main roster bullshit. And it's fucking idiots like Gay D and again like Cronin. I hate to hark on them so much, but the fact that Vince Russo's in this episode tonight really bothered me. Because what did he add in the 2 segments he was fucking talking? What did he add? Oh, bro, if you ask me, bro, I think he might have been a loner, bro. Yeah, you had fucking nothing as usual, you stupid fucking idiot. You overgrown fucking moron, mushmouth idiot, purposely over-exaggerating the New York accent to think that's his fucking shtick or gimmick. Or thinking he sounds tough when he's a fucking overgrown salt and pepper beard pussy. Just like Gay D is fucking Junior, and just like Mark Cronin, that fat fuck who I can roll perfectly down a hill, choose one any here, up, downhill, whatever. I'll be glad to do it his fat ass. I can't stand him either. But yeah, I'm just making it clear. Listen, this is why I'm done with wrestling. I can't stand these idiots like him, that toxic fans who are too pussy to fucking voice their own opinion out there loud enough to build platforms for themselves are now heralding these 2 fucks as heroes. Because again, they're too pussy to fucking say anything on the microphone like I got here, or at least to a wrestler passing by them in the airport. No, they're keyboard fucking warrior cuck incels that depend and live by fucking Russo, fucking Gay D, and fucking Cronin. They're all cucks. I just fucking hate whenever they brought up at all or heralded as fucking doing this. Okay, listen, Russo did do some shit and wrote some shit that was pretty fucking good back when. But the positives are really outweighed by the fucking negatives, aka trash he contributed to the fucking business. I've said enough about him. I'm not going to bring him up no more because I'm going to get more angry. And I guess he deserves worse, but still, whatever. Okay. So it gets to a point in the episode where he's on top of the world, the Ultimate Warrior. He's like the fucking biggest thing ever. He wins the championship too. This part kind of threw me off a little bit because apparently, according to the story, as we were told, he is on top of the world. He's the big fucking guy. A kid approaches him in the airport and asks him, apparently, if he's the Ultimate Warrior, which, as we're told here, he explodes. He goes off on the fucking kid. Probably told him to go fuck himself, whatever, etc., etc. I hate this story because we don't know how true that is, first off. And second, the way they put it is that, oh, he had to apologize to the kid because his parents were, quote unquote, connected to the fucking company. Which means, perhaps, I want to think out loud. If you fucking take time into reference around shit that happened, went down the news, whatever too, it might simply be regarding the Royd scandal either coming up or already existing at that time. So the kid who the Warrior went off on probably was the kid of a politician. One of them guys pursuing the companies as far as like, oh, you got nothing but guys taking steroids as the stars of your company, so now we're gonna fucking dig you in a hole and try to take your ass to court, as they did too as well. And you know how that story develops if you're a wrestling fan too. So I'm thinking that's most likely Vince being a pussy in that sense and saying, okay, Jimmy, goddammit, if you did or you didn't do it, I don't give a fuck, pal. Goddammit, you have to film this apology video, which is crazy because the fact that they, shout out to Dirty Heels _132, both of you, of course, I appreciate you, Kofi Wheatston, and the good brother, shout out to you two guys. How they fucking presented the whole thing was crazy because you can see for the first time ever, Warrior going through his nonsensical fucking satirical promos. He can't cut a clean promo because he's too upset about, I didn't do shit to the kid. I didn't say shit to that little fuck. Why do I have to apologize for something I didn't do? As far as we made it to this episode up until this point, I'm going to lean towards believing that he, the Warrior, was telling the truth as far as him saying he didn't say that shit to the kid. I bet you most likely, like a lot of those fucking fans are, when they harass a lot of fucking wrestlers at the airport, as Sasha Banks is told, even though she's been presented as a bitch, and I've heard otherwise. I've heard both sides actually. She is a bitch in person or she's actually a sweetheart in person. I don't know what to believe honestly, but as far as fucking fans are concerned, who stand outside, like CM Punk said, who stand at the airport at 2 a.m. waiting for you to sign whatever, don't put my name on it because I'm going to sell on eBay right after too. That's legit facts. I done it once and I saw it because I just missed, I forget who I was waiting for, but I saw a fucking crowd of fat fucks gathered, hovering around them like fucking vultures, waiting to get shit signed, which he just fucking did a circle, signing shit randomly and sending them on their way. So I bet you this fucking kid was probably an asshole, was a little fucking piece of shit up the Warrior's ass, and Warrior, because he had had so much stress up until that point, probably told him kindly maybe buzz off because he loved kids up until that point. He loved kids even when he came back before he went to the Hall of Fame too as well. So I'm thinking maybe it had to be that, and because the kid just so happens to be linked, unfortunately, to a politician, that's probably how it went down. This is me just speaking out loud, pulling it out my ass. I don't fucking know either. So that was sad to see because you can see visibly he's frustrated, and I don't think anybody of his character would have any sense in lying. Maybe being delusional, as Vince told him too. You're a legend in your own mind. You're nowhere near the level of fucking Hogan. You're lucky we made you who you are, who you ended up being, because we just liked how you looked and how insane you seemed to fucking come off as. So of course you would make sense as a wrestler during the fucking early 90s, late 80s. So I would think that, yeah, it bothered him so much to do that because he probably didn't do that. Just like, the whole Michael Jackson shit. Allegedly, he slept with the kids. Allegedly, he was sniffing little boys' booty holes, as I forgot who said that in the joke too. It might have been Cat Williams. So shout out to him for saying that too. But then Cat Williams got into his own fucking sort of trouble, so who knows. But just like the Michael Jackson thing. And then however long ago that was now, shortly, it just came out that apparently he didn't do anything, Michael Jackson. So who knows? I don't know, of course, but if you kind of look into his fucking upbringing and what he had to escape from as far as Joe Jackson's concerned too, maybe he didn't. Maybe he was just an overgrown kid himself, just like they were alluding to with this shit too. In his mind, he had this relationship with Vince McMahon as a father figure / a father, because I think the Warrior being so self-assuring of himself and having to self-motivate himself to be literally bigger than what he was when he joined his high school football team. He was the runt, and he grew up to be the biggest fucking guy on campus. I think he saw Vince as a father figure because he was the guy, the end-all, be-all of the fucking business. He owned, of course, obviously back then, the WWF. So because he saw someone who literally was that much higher up than him, he had no choice but to respect him. So everybody else around him, all the other wrestlers as he was like, oh, fuck them. I'm just as good as, no, I'm better than they are. I deserve to be where I'm at because I'm so big, I'm so jacked, you know, my persona, whatever, etc., too. But he probably saw Vince as a father figure because, no, that's the boss. I can't be him because without him, there's no me. Doing that math in his head, he's like, okay, that's kind of daddy right there. And I got to respect him and look at him as dad, too. That whole thing, again, would have been, I would have loved to have seen like a whole therapy session go on with like the inner workings of the Ultimate Warrior. That would have been excellent, just because it would have been a character study. It would have been like tapping deep into the psyche of a man who probably convinced himself way before he became the Ultimate Warrior that he already was an Ultimate Warrior. I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say, somebody would have asked him and he would have said, yeah, you know, from like fresh out of high school, I was practically like an Ultimate Warrior in spirit, and I called myself that because, you know, that's who I had to be for myself, to like bring myself up and get myself out of that small town I grew up in Indiana, to become someone who, as he said himself, quote unquote, would be someone that would be someone that people remembered for as long as we exist here too. And proof is in the pudding. I mean, listen, how far removed are we from when he was as big as they fucking get? Early 90s, I'm like 6, 7 years old when he was on top of the world, till now where I'm fucking 35 going on 36. And people still finally remember Ultimate Warrior, the fucking Ultimate Warrior theme song, which I want to put up there as probably, if not the best theme song overall, definitely top 5 theme songs, Ultimate Warrior's fucking theme. Because Hogan was iconic in Real American, excuse me. Bret the Hitman Hart is my favorite wrestler of all time, and I'd still put his theme up there in the top 5 as far as coolest, most significant, and kind of perfect to who he was as well too. Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid theme, just so happens to be like a little too perfect for his whole persona, so it fit him perfectly as well. And the fact that he sung it himself too and it actually sounded good, I mean, kudos to him. I mean, there's so many others to name, you know, Razor Ramon, the NWO theme, DX as well too. Evolution. I think Evolution's theme song, The Line in the Sand by Motorhead, that's an underappreciated fucking thing. That shit goes so hard. And also, debatable. Hopefully I'm not on more of the wrongest scale as far as this is concerned, but I always finally remember and miss the original RVD theme before we got the play the game, hey, whatever bullshit. I didn't like that one. But the original one he had when he first came to the company, that he had maybe for like 6 months or so, or a year before they did the fucking play the game, whatever bullshit one, that one goes hard. I think it's Damnation, if you want to look it up on Spotify or whatever too. That one by Jim Johnston, shouts to him for creating so many fucking original themes. But of the themes he created and of the themes of all time, I gotta put Warrior number 1, because that's like, with Heartbreak Kid being a close number 2, because Warrior's theme, Unstable as it's called, I think that's a little too perfect, like a fucking grand slam, knock it out the park. Super Nitro, I actually like the One of a Kind. I do too, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm saying it's trash, but to me at least, it's trash compared to the original one with no fucking vocals on it, like darker, harder, goes a little fucking longer too with the riff, a little bit more serious and more in tone with fucking Van Damme. Because literally the Titantron video for that one was just like a bunch of fucking Rob Van Dam text with the fucking oh god, what do you call this shit now? The symbol, the yin yang, and him dropping random kicks and Van Daminators too. And then when they did the one of a kind one, it was like, you know, play the game and shit, and like the 5-star frog splash all over the place too. Again, not downplaying that one, but my favorite was the Damnation one, the OG one he got. And then, of course, there was EZW theme too, which is hard too, but no one ever remembers that one, I guess. But yeah, let's see. We did the apology part. We did that. We did Vince's being a father figure. Yeah, a crazy part was actually remembering the whole scandal with the fucking University of Connecticut speech, where he came out as anti-queer, or if we're talking about modern terms, anti-LGBTQ, potentially plus whatever, ABD, CBD, whatever. That was crazy, but it's not surprising. It was heartbreaking, as I think Sam Roberts put it, when they touched on that part, because you think the Ultimate Warrior of all things wouldn't be like politically leaning right so heavy like that. But then you start to think, oh shit, this is 2005. It's only like, what, Trump got elected in 2016? I don't know why I'm drawing blanks. 2016. But that's only 10 years or so removed from fucking him being dubbed like the MAGA warrior if he would have spoken out, you know, in more modern times, or if Trump was in office. Imagine that shit. That would have been crazy. Official Bad News Vaughn. I like this TNA theme. It's simple. LOL. RVD the whole fucking show. That too. I mean, I never really watched TNA like that. So, to be honest, I won't even lie to you. I wouldn't even know what the theme. I'll look it up later to fucking see how that sounds. Super Nitro co-signs fucking Bad News Vaughn, saying he liked the TNA version too. I remember that I was in college when that happened. Yes, with the fucking MAGA, well, not MAGA, but the fucking anti-queer warrior, pretty much, speech. Which is crazy because the wife, of course, that's his wife. She's going to fucking speak positively of him the whole time. So she's like, yeah, well, after that happened, he realized the damage he had done, he was sorry. I don't really buy that either, because you know what? There was still that whole blog he had, videos he had afterwards too, of where he was still keeping those sentiments alive. I'm not saying he was co-signing fully or he was coming out full-blown anti-queer. That speech, he was just caught up in the moment and being agitized by somebody who just happened to, you know, kind of dig at that when he just happened to fucking drop that bomb. And, you know, being a queer is anti-American, whatever, etc., what he said allegedly too. And then someone, of course, took that to heart, which unfortunately you run the risk of saying that when you speak your piece, especially if you lean so far right that you're out of fucking focus or screen like I just did right now. So that was crazy when that happened. And I do remember that making fucking headline news. Of course, it's fucking, you're never going to think the Ultimate Warrior of all people is going to be so fucking, I think he was probably, I'm not even going to say that. Let me not allude to that because I don't have any fucking proof to back that up, better yet said. So let me not fucking, you know, throw dirt in his name like that. But as far as being anti-queer, I mean, maybe he was, but then he did try to clarify that in later blog entries that he was, but he wasn't. He didn't really mean it like that, etc., etc. So it was a whole messy situation. But unfortunately, that did happen. It did kind of go away on its own with time passing and such too. So I guess that worked to his favor, if anything. Which also leads to the fucking self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, which is around that time, / basically Vince saying, we want to disassociate completely from what that guy said because that's some crazy shit he put out there. Just like they did with Hogan when it fucking came out that he said the thing about his daughter Brooke's black boyfriend too, which was crazy, which was nasty, and of all things, it's like earth-shattering because it's Hulk Hogan of all people, where he kept ending his sentences as brother, and you know, you would clearly see footage of him fucking patting black and Spanish and Chinese kids on the head and like calling them his little Hulkamaniacs and all that shit too. For him to just fucking say what he said in that recording, which I'm sure he knew, or no, he didn't know he was being recorded, but he fucking said it. There's no fucking hiding that shit. It was bad enough with the fucking sex tape with Bubba the Love Sponge's wife, which she was a piece of ass. I can't blame him for wanting to fuck. But that shit was nasty. And then, of course, the whole fucking trying to erase him from the company's existence. You know, he was taken out of the Hall of Fame and et cetera, just to bring him back 5 years later like nothing happened. Or like, all is forgiven. The world has forgotten about the fucking tarnished reputation of Terry Bollea. And Hulk Hogan is Hulk Hogan. Just like... Which is the funniest shit ever, because if you remember the fucking case he had with Gawker, when he basically said about the sex tape shit, he was like, oh no, who you saw in the video was Hulk Hogan, because Terry Bollea's dick ain't that big. I can't really hulk up like that, brother. In those words, close enough too, but it was just so hilarious how you fucking separated. Literally, no, that wasn't my dick, that was Hulk Hogan's dick, piping Bubba the Love Sponge's fucking bitch, you know, because he was in on the rib. I wasn't, brother. My dick doesn't get that hard or that big, let alone, you know, I'm just at home beating it so slowly to fucking younger women that look just like my daughter. Because if you remember that, I think he's still married to that blonde who looked way too much like his fucking daughter. So that was scary, and that was creepy enough too, if anyone recalls that part. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, and Bad News Vaughn saying he has that DVD. I had that DVD. I lost it like in a move or something like that. But that wouldn't really bother me because it was literally however long it was, like an hour and 30 or so of people from all genres, all fucking times and eras of wrestling, basically shitting on him. Which, okay. His attitude, his demeanor, everything he fucking made demands with the fucking letter he wrote to Vince about, basically, oh, if I don't get this, that, and the other done, and I don't get paid as much as Hulk Hogan, I'm not coming back, so go fuck yourself otherwise too. And then Vince writes him back saying, well, you're a legend in your own fucking mind, you're nowhere near the level of Hogan, so you can go fuck yourself by not coming back because I'm not giving you what the fuck you want, basically. But otherwise, people complaining about the Macho Man episode as A&E shit being a hit piece or like shitting on his legacy. No. They were showing, and A&E deserves a lot of praise. If you haven't yet, please go watch that episode of the Macho Man from A&E. Watch that shit and see that they're bringing to light everything the man did in his life. It's literally 2 hours of all aspects, all encompassing the Macho Man, Randy Savage. It's not a hit piece just because they put stupid ass, useless ass Bubba the Love Sponge in it too, which made no sense. And rightfully so, as Eric Bischoff said. And who else said it? Who else? I just said him earlier. Eric Bischoff and someone else in that fucking special basically said, oh, Peter Rosenberg. He said, like, Bubba the Love Sponge made no fucking sense being there too because he shitted on Macho Man along with Hulk Hogan while he was alive and before he dropped dead. Well, sorry, he, died on impact in his Jeep Wrangler. Rest in peace, Macho Man, always, of course. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, right. So, Self-Destruction, the Ultimate Warrior. It was basically all these guys ganging up on him, talking all this shit, and I think immediately just Vince wanted to disassociate from the fucking speech he gave at the University of Connecticut too. I guess, which makes sense, but it's also like, goddamn, it's too obvious. This shit comes out conveniently enough at that time. Disassociate yourself, cut all ties. Like they said too at some point, Vince had realized he made enough money off this guy's character and likeness where this shit happened so far removed from when he was a fucking icon and like a fucking superhero practically in the universe of wrestling. He said, okay, let's just shit on him for like 90 minutes, toss him aside, he don't exist according to us, and then, let's get over with it too. Which is all it was. Ric Flair, who else was in that shit? I forget who else was in that shit, but it was all of them just shitting on him, which I didn't like too. It was no real purpose for it, just for fucking later on when he passes away and after the Hall of Fame, they start making all these little things about, oh, the Warrior was always as heralded, a larger-than-life character. He might have did things his own way, etc., etc. But, at the end of the day, he was a good guy. He meant well, etc., etc. Somebody was saying Rocky IV, of all the Rockies, is the best Rocky. Because without that, you don't get 5, which was horrible, which was fucking vomit, which was diarrhea level bad. Okay, that was the bridge sparring lead to fucking Rocky Balboa, Rocky 6 in other words too, and then we get Creed 1 and Creed 2 after that too. But to say Rocky 4 is the best of them? Are you fucking serious? You idiot! What kind of new synthetic drug available off the market are you taking? Because I want in on some of that, bro. You're fucking insane. I think the very first episode of Who Has Been Watching might have been Rocky 4 actually. Which I even forget the rating I gave it back then. But I'm not going to say it's bad, it's horrible, but it ain't the best Rocky. You go fuck yourself with that theory. You're insane. You need to get checked into a fucking asylum. You know, I need to fucking speak to your parents to see. Then towards the end of the episode, it's very sad that unfortunately his mother, the Ultimate Warrior's mother, does outlive his son. And she does allude to the fact that the men in his family have all died at a relatively young age of 50. I think she said the grandfather and then his father, who we had no relationship with, also died or something like that too around that age. And oddly enough, Ultimate Warrior around that age is when he passed in 2014, which is so crazy. That was so long ago now that he passed, actually. Wow, that's crazy to think. And then the craziest part too that really did bother me when it happened, because he comes back for the Hall of Fame. That's on a Saturday. WrestleMania happens the Sunday after, the day after that Saturday of the Hall of Fame. Monday Night Raw, right after Mania, he comes out and he gives his very final speech addressing officially the fucking WWE Universe after giving a very epic Hall of Fame acceptance speech. And I'm going to word it so wrong, but basically like the life and spirit of the man who lived his character to the fullest like I did, if he lived his character properly, then he's going to inspire generations upon generations of people. And I lived through you guys basically because you guys kept me alive and my memory and my character alive this whole time. So I was only the Ultimate Warrior because you believed in me that much, basically. A really touching speech. If anyone out there watching hasn't seen it, just, search that. Monday Night Raw, Ultimate Warrior, final speech. It's really heartwarming because 2 days after, he literally drops dead. And it's kind of like, as they alluded to so many times, he knew it was coming. And very sad, very sad. But being able to bury the hatchet, being able to fucking get rid of the demons that fucking took over his life because of, how everything went down with him leaving the company or being fired, better yet said. And, trying and failing with different, businesses like the comic book, which I had the first copy of the first issue, but I don't know where that is at this point now. I'd like to think it's a collector's item, but I'd just like to have it for nostalgia purposes to actually look through and read through. But I did have the very first one. I actually bought it, I think, from a comic book store back when in '96. I mean, he tried the fucking Warrior University, his wrestling school and gym and such. But yeah, he couldn't really make it outside of that shit too. I mean, he had his run in WCW, which we're better off not remembering because that was terrible. As far as the rematch between him and Hogan that was built up to fucking nothing, a fucking dud. I want to say not his fault, but also I don't think he really took it serious either. Let alone Eric Bischoff and anyone else involved too, especially Hogan. They were just fucking pulling straws at that point, hoping that nostalgia would kick in and people would just kind of overlook the botch that was that match. And just be like, we got Warrior and Hogan like close to the new millennium and shit. This is awesome, whatever, too. But no, it was pretty bad. So recapping the whole series in itself so far. It's only 6 episodes of 8 total. If you haven't seen it up until now, or you haven't started to watch, I strongly recommend, just because if you like wrestling, if you're fond of wrestling like I've been my whole life practically, you will not be let down by this fucking series. Every fucking episode until now has been nothing short of excellent, pretty much. I wasn't so impressed with the Austin episode, only because his story's been told so many times that I'm probably sure that he's tired of telling it too. But it was good. I'm not taking away from that too. And 2 hours for every episode is actually just enough time perfectly done to tell the proper story, ins and outs, and start and endings too. So far we've had, also side notes too. A big shout out as always again to fucking Peter Rosenberg. I love how he's a part of these fucking specials, and he actually adds to it too as well. I'm not a fan of Sam Roberts like that, but he was actually pretty good throughout this episode too. He wasn't making it about himself or fucking purposely giving a fucking opinion that leans more towards the unpopular opinion just to be different. No, he was actually like contributing positively to this episode. Also, David Shoemaker, who is like a fucking wrestling Wikipedia as far as like reporters and podcasters are concerned, but he knows his shit, and he actually again contributed very well to this episode. And also, who else was there? Oh yeah, Paul Heyman, of course. Oh shit. Whenever he fucking just starts talking, it's always gold. But the way he fucking described and fucking put everything together as far as what needed to be said, it's gold every time. Paul Heyman is fucking, he's gonna go in the Hall of Fame as just a mouthpiece, because he's just great on the fucking mic and excellent at speaking, and more importantly talking about wrestling, obviously though. So yeah, let's see. We did that. Yeah, so right, I talked about the Austin episode. It was good, but you know, it's been told already before. We know that so far. I can see why the Macho Man episode was polarizing, just because it wasn't made to be so fond of Macho being one of the greatest ever to do it in ring, on the mic, overall character, etc., etc. I get it. But yeah, big faux pas was having Bubba the Love Sponge involved. And also, you know, people don't like to fucking accept the truth. The man was flawed. That's why he was able to escape, like the Warrior did, into his character so much that he became his character outside the fucking ring, because it was like his security blanket. That's when he needed to fucking feel more reassured and positive about himself so that he can get through his fucking day. Because we have no idea what goes on in their fucking brains, having to be this character for so long or so many times throughout the fucking years. It just trickles over into their real life and thinking, well, you know what? People like me enough as my character. I might as well just be my character from now on, any chance I get, because who's going to really understand or like the real me? They just want me for my character. They just want me for what I fucking provide to them in regards to entertainment. And, you know, on a weekly basis on TV and such, etc., etc. So, yeah, I mean, I liked it because I do love the Macho Man. He's, again, probably after Bret Hart, my number 2. Probably favorite wrestler of all time. But again, I can see why it was polarizing, why some fans were like, or Sam Roberts actually, he brought that up and saying, no, it's a hit piece. They made Macho look like a piece of shit. Well, I'm sorry. If you had a fucking ugly past, not so much his past, but if you lived an ugly kind of life behind the fucking cameras and when no one's looking, and the way they fucking, well, you had Gorgeous George. If you saw that episode, Gorgeous George goes into detail about the man being practically stalker-like with his own girlfriend. So the man wasn't perfect. But I like that they told everything about him possible to make him a real person, not this fucking character that we love so much and that's it. No, he was a real guy with fucking problems. And he passed away the way he passed away, but we're able to tell his fucking story in full. So I do love the Macho Man episode for that point. Also, the Booker T episode was a pleasant surprise, unexpected pleasant surprise. I've always been a fan of Booker. I've always loved Harlem Heat. I'm still mad that every time as a young kid, I would pass by Harlem with my father whenever he drove us on the Sunday to fucking work, of all places, to help him out, me at least. We'd pass, I forget what the fucking name of this highway is, but you get on it, it's right on the cusp of Harlem, and I would always look as hard as I could at Harlem, hoping I'd see Harlem Heat walking down the street or something, or calling someone a sucker, or Booker T busting the spinneroonie, something like that. But the Booker T episode was like really insightful as far as like his upbringing. I had no idea he had it that rough, as one of 8 kids, I believe he said. And just him telling his story with, you know, Stevie Ray with him the whole time and helping him out as a brother should. It was a really great episode too. Really unexpected, pleasant surprise, as I said. I talked about Austin already. Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper. Always one of my favorite guys as far as just characters alone is concerned. When he talked, I listened. I loved hearing him talk his shit as a good guy, as a bad guy, whatever too. I loved that episode. That was probably my favorite one up until tonight with Warrior, because you really didn't get his story told too much, and there was never enough told about him to be like, damn, we really didn't appreciate Roddy Piper like that. And you can add him to the list of guys that should have been champion, absolutely, but just never got that chance. Or I don't know if they didn't believe in him that much to say, but he really should have been champ at least once. Just like a really fucking asshole heel champion like Roddy Piper would have been fucking so fun to have. Rest in peace, Roddy Piper. He's one of those I'm still sad / mad to this day I never got to meet, just to say thank you for fucking being so fun to watch for so long too. But yeah, that was that. So far we got, who is it? I think next Sunday is Mick Foley. That should be a good one too, even though we know his story already. I do love the fact that he is literally the best example, living example of a wrestling fan that got to live his dream and tell his story his way to make that shit matter to people and hopefully inspire, as I'm sure he did already, inspire the whole generation of fucking wrestlers that we have now, because they knew his story and they immediately said to themselves, oh shit, I got a chance to do this too. And thus, I'm sure plenty of wrestlers, like I said already, have been born that way thanks to Mick Foley, Mankind, Dude Love, Cactus Jack, etc., etc. So that should be a good one. And he's a great storyteller, so I should expect to see a lot of him heavily involved in an episode, so that should be good also. And I think appropriately enough, even though his story's been told plenty of times, DVDs, special, YouTube docs, whatever too, etc., there's Bret the Hitman Hart to fucking close the shit out. Always a good story. Very interesting to see literally the fucking one of the best technical wrestlers, to see his come up, how he became to be who he is, still is now, a living legend. But as far as what A&E's been able to do up until this point with everybody's story that they told, we should expect, it's safe to assume we should expect a really good fucking episode with Bret Hart as well too. So that's that for that. And also, I guess, one final point is, I'm surprised that for the purpose of doing 8 episodes, they didn't go the usual route of the more iconic guys being either Hogan, Taker, or fucking Andre the Giant. I'm surprised they didn't. But maybe if they do a season 2 or something like that, they might as well throw them in there, or most likely we will get the Hogan version of A&E's doc, as well as Taker's, as well as Andre the Giant's, even though Andre just had that fucking HBO one, which I still haven't watched. I've been meaning to, it's on my watch list, but I just haven't gotten around to it, so I'll get around to it eventually. If I had to choose, or if anyone asked me, I'd gladly say, if there was a season 2 coming up of A&E's biography, docs, or whatever too, I'd love to see the following, because of the way they've been able to tell the stories and how they've been presented so fucking beautifully. The 6 of 8 episodes I watched until now. I'd love to see one for The Rock, even though we kind of know his story too, and literally he has a sitcom telling his life, but a more serious look at his life of The Rock himself. I'd love to see one of who we don't get enough of. I think we got a DVD years ago, but then that was it. They have an A&E special about Shawn Michaels. That was the week before that just passed. The Rock will be number 1, not in no particular order, but Rock. I'd love to see one about Mr. Perfect. He is another one of those guys that never got to be champion, but he should have been. Chyna will be a really good one. Chyna should really be good. Read her book if you haven't, her autobiography, If They Only Knew. Really good, really sad story about her life in general. Owen Hart, even though we got one with Dark Side of the Ring already, I'd love to see their take on it, like a good, nicely told, pretty packaged fucking version of Owen's story. Undertaker, even though we got The Last Ride, which is really good too. That's probably the swan song of the fucking network before they transitioned over to the Peacock, which Peacock is bullshit. I mean, I think I pay for Peacock if I'm not mistaken, but then maybe there's like a gold platinum tier, because I still get fucking commercials piped into every fucking thing I watch on there so far. So that's not good. I fucking hate the Peacock so far for that, I'll be honest. But an A&E version of Undertaker story would be good too. Also, another guy that never got to be champion, at least in WWE, Rick Rude. I think his story was told though. Maybe Dark Side of the Ring. If I'm not mistaken, but Rick Rude will be good too. And then that's 7 so far, right? Yeah. A personal choice, which I think would still make sense, even though he wasn't a wrestler. He was trained to be one. He did some matches, but he wasn't a wrestler like the other guys were. But I'd love to see it because I always appreciated him just for fucking being a mouthpiece like Roddy Piper was, and so many others were too as well. I'd love to see one for Bobby Heenan. Bobby the Brain Heenan, excuse me, rest in peace. Hilarious as a commentator, great as a manager, just fucking the epitome of being able to talk that shit in terms of wrestling's concerned. But yeah, if I had to choose, those would be my choices for like the next season. That'd be great to see. But overall, to give this thing a final score, because that's what we got to do with these fucking ears, which people have been complaining, hey, you're not fucking putting the ears to good use. What the fuck, what are they even there for in your head, and et cetera, et cetera. All right, final score, just to shut you the fuck up and take it on home. Bring it on home. It's fucking late enough right now. It's a minute fucking shy of midnight on the Sunday of all days. Hopefully you got to work like I got to work tomorrow morning, but still, we're grown adults. The fucking rent don't stop. The bills don't stop. We only stop when we lay our head to fucking beds, as I'm clearly tired as well too right now. To give this shit a final score, I really enjoyed myself. I hate the fact that Russo was involved. I gave my whole little rant about that earlier, which I clearly won't do again, because they're still going to be making money off of fucking hating what they allegedly hate so much, but they love to fucking watch because that's how their paycheck comes in, and that's what put foods on their table. That's the only downside. Otherwise, I gotta give this shit a 1.5 ear out of 2 possible ears. Obviously, I don't have 3 ears. I'm not a mutant, so only 2 ears. Again, 1.5 out of 2 ears for tonight's episode of A&E, The Ultimate Warrior Documentary Biography. Really good. Again, very well told. It wasn't shitting on the Ultimate Warrior, thank God. It was just telling his story in every fucking way possible to make him look like an actual person that existed. So it was fun to watch. Great fucking thing so far. This whole series has been, this is episode 6 of 8. So we got, again, Mick Foley next Sunday, and we got Bret Hart to close things out as the 8th and final episode. So I'll probably do one for Bret Hart if might as well do one for Bret Hart. Maybe not so much Mick Foley. I'm still on the fucking, like, I'm so fucking tired right now. I gotta go to sleep. But yeah, maybe I'll do one for Mick Foley. I most likely will for Bret Hart. But thank you guys a lot again for watching, for chiming in live and or later on YouTube, youtube.com/whothisis1. In the comment sections, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, comment. If you agree, you disagree, I don't give a shit. Just fucking chime in, speak your piece. Open platform, the floor is yours to speak your mind and, again, openly agree or disagree with what I said tonight. But yeah, also the audio version will be available as always about a week or so later on any podcasting platform of your preference, be it Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, etc., too. This is a really great watch if you love wrestling, or even though I'm not a fan no more, if you love the history of and you like the inner workings of wrestling, this is right up your fucking alley. Trust me, it's chef's kiss so far as it being this fucking good. Who this been watching on a Sunday night? I'm tired as fuck right now. I apologize for being that unprofessional to have to share that little tidbit, but I am tired as fuck. Can't you see by the bags under my eyes? Goddamn, I'm so tired I can barely have the strength to do this anymore, at least for tonight. Thank you guys for joining in. Super Nitro, by the way, since you had your pay-per-view debut last night, if I'm not mistaken, DM me or text me. We got to set up an interview with you as far as how you feel about your first big fucking showing like that. I've been meaning to ask you that throughout the day, but I just forgot entirely, to be honest. But yeah, look out for that DM or text later on tonight, or you can hit me after tomorrow early, however you feel like doing it. Shout outs, of course, as always, to official Bad News Vaughn for chiming in. Much appreciated, brother. Much love. You boys, you girls, whatever you identify as gender-wise out there watching. Appreciate that. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I'll be back next week as regularly scheduled, Friday, 10 p.m. with another episode, of course, Who This Been Watching.